Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, everyone. I am Meredith Calloway, your host of the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. Welcome to today's episode where we have a superstar in the house today. We have the person who is our number one top producer at Gifted Travel Network for 2024, Stephanie Goldberg Glazer, the Chief Experience Officer at Live Well, Travel Often. Thank you for joining us today, Stephanie. And sorry I messed up your whole title.
That's okay. Just like my name, it's very long.
Exactly, which is why we have to abbreviate it at Gifted Travel Network. We abbreviate Gifted Travel Network. And then when advisors in the network have long names too long, we just call them by their initials. And so Stephanie in our network is lovingly referred to as SGG. So welcome to the podcast, SGG. Thanks for joining us. All right, well, let's get started. So yes, you are an absolute superstar. And so I have a lot of questions for you to help others I just want to inspire other people because there is an incredible life and path that people can take that leads to building a business, a thriving business, and a life that you love. Would you say that you have achieved that?
Not quite.
Okay. And what is the gap?
I work too much. I work all the time. Right? I need some days off. That's really the bottom line. But we're getting there, right? I have a great team. We've hired some new people and it's all good. So, and honestly, like the fact that I have too much work is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, business is booming. So let's dive there. Let's start there with the whole concept of client attraction. How long have you been selling travel?
19 years.
Wow, 19 years in the business. And how did you land here? How did you get into the business?
Oh my God, it's such a convoluted story, but the short version is that I had a series of jobs where I worked for men who hate women, which didn't really sit well. And in one of them, I was traveling for work across the country, and I landed and I was reading an article about daily money managers, people that just pay other people's bills. That's what they do for a job. This was like 20 years ago. So, it might not really be relevant right now. But I was thinking to myself, I can do that. And then if you are so busy that you need someone to pay your bills for you, what else do you need them to do? So I made a plan. And I was very excited about this plan because I was not going to be working for men who hate women anymore. And so I called my husband when I landed and I was like, I have an idea. And he was like, that's amazing. You're 3 hours ahead of me. It's the middle of the night. Can we talk about it tomorrow? And then I basically came home and quit my job and I started a personal assistant business. And when I started the business, I was like, well, at some point I was like, what else can I do? Right? Because I was doing a lot of different things. And I talked to someone in a travel host agency. And I talked to her for quite a while. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. And then, but I, signed on with them anyway. And for a long time, I had a hobby. I had a travel hobby for a long time.
Yeah.
Until I decided that like enough is enough and this is stupid. And if I'm going to bother, then I'm doing it right. And then I started really delving into education and how to really build a business into a business and not a hobby that can be supportive of me. And that was probably, that was a while in. That was, but that was probably like 10, 12 years ago.
Right. So you had this hobby of planning travel for several years. You said a long time. I want to unpack that part because this hobbyist syndrome is so common. It's a trap that so many of us, myself included, fall into. And I'm it always fascinates me because I thought I was the only one. It was like this shameful secret I was hiding when when I finally realized that I wasn't the only one hiding this shameful secret. There was a lot of other people hiding it, or maybe not hiding it, just not admitting it. So what would you say was the reason why? Because it wasn't like you wanted a hobby, right? It was, you weren't trying for this to be a hobby. You wanted it to be. Well, define hobby too. What does that mean to you? Not making money?
Yep.
Yeah, same here.
Something that takes up time that's not lucrative.
Right. Right. Takes up a lot of time
That you actually enjoy also.
that you actually enjoy, right? But there's no return on it.
Right, which
I
is
could
fine.
not.
Listen, I'm never going to Wimbledon, but I still like playing tennis.
Right. Exactly.
Travel is a
Exactly.
whole different thing.
Yeah. What do you think, looking back now, what do you think contributed, or what did you do? What were some of the key things that you did to go from accidental hobbyist to,
Accidental business owner.
to business owner with a profit?
Um, so this is going to surprise you probably because, we've known each other now for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And, I'm not very woo-woo. I'm not very, I don't know what the right word is, but it's a mindset shift. Like at the
Yes.
time, I couldn't tell you that it's a mindset shift and I have to change my mindset and this is what's going to change. But that really is it.
And if
Like,
someone told you that at the time, you would have told them to,
yeah,
you know,
no, yeah, no.
thanks for the advice, Jimmy. Thanks.
Right. I, um, but the truth is, it is a mindset change because really, and all it is, I'm very determined, right? So the quickest way to get me to do something is to tell me that I can't. And then, let me prove you wrong. But I think one of the big things was like things are annoying. Things in this business are annoying. People have transfers that don't show up on time, or people want unrealistic things, or people want, I don't know, just things that are annoying to deal with, right? You have a flight schedule change for the 72nd time on the same flight that you
Right.
paid $6 on. So I think one day I just decided like either I'm doing this or I'm not doing it because it's too annoying to be something that doesn't actually make me a living. And it's really fun, actually. I mean, I know I just said all those things, but most of the things are fun, right? Like when you can send someone to Europe for the first time and they look at their itinerary and cry because it's exactly what they envisioned. I mean, this is amazing. These are amazing things that you could do for people. And so either it was doing it all in or not. And I decided to go all in. And then I just started learning, like really learning as much as I could about, what I needed to do to actually run a business and how I needed to expand the portfolio of things that I was comfortable selling and how to expand the portfolio of partners that I'm comfortable working with, which is an ongoing process, by the way. It's not a thing that you ever finish.
So it sounds like you did a lot of things operationally to maybe systematize, add systems, add procedures, add processes.
Oh, no. I just changed my
No?
mindset, built my business, and then I systematized it.
Change your mindset, build your business. So how did you build so you said you expanded the portfolio of partners and got really clear on who you wanted to work with, what you wanted to sell. I have observed, in my position, as part of the leadership team of a host agency, I'm not selling travel anymore. But what I have observed with lots and lots of advisors in our network is that the sequence most people think, the sequence that people think happens is the opposite of what actually happens when it comes to leaning into luxury, travel, transitioning into luxury, saying, and most people think, okay, you got to go find the right clients that are going to consume luxury travel, and then you can sell luxury travel to them. And what I see happening is becoming more fluent with the luxury partners that you want to work with really understanding their product, maybe even experiencing their product. And then you just kind of naturally attract the clients is that how it happened for you?
I would agree with that. I think that there's a lot of things that you can learn, and most host agencies will tell you, here's all the training that you need. Here is what cruise line cabin dimensions look like, and here is what their dining options look like, and here's what the rates are, and here's what the sales are. And you know what? Those don't matter actually, because we our job is actually to get the best fit for our client at a price point that they're comfortable with. So, like, I tell suppliers this at like Travel Week all the time. Like, if you're going to sit down and show me a presentation and tell me how much meeting space you have, I don't care. I don't care until I have a meeting coming to your property, and then I'm not going to remember. So then I will have to get the information later anyway. So tell me something interesting that I can use, that will stick in my brain, that I will remember, like if you have impromptu concerts on your lawn in the summer, like this is a thing I need to know. I don't care if you have 12,000 feet of meeting space.
Right. Right. I think there has been over the last 20, 30 years, a transactional mentality in our occupation. And there still are people that come from that transactional mentality. And I think a lot of that training is actually written for that mentality.
100%.
And the secret to success is not having that mentality, is really deciding, I'm a travel designer and a travel planner. I am not a travel booker. Yes, I will be booking travel as a part of my service. But when it comes down to and I think that's what you're talking about partially with this mentality, with shifting their mindset, is like, if I'm a business owner, what is going to help me succeed long term is really stepping into this different role and becoming that role, so that people really, that's what they're getting when they hire me to plan their travel, is they're getting a travel designer, not a transactional, someone who can just take an order and book it.
And the other piece of it, particularly in the luxury segment, is that you're getting access, right? You're getting access to things that you don't have. You can go to the Academy Gallery and see David in Florence. You could do that all on your own. You don't even have to buy advance tickets. I mean, you'd be a fool because then you're waiting in line for a really long time. But you could do it, right? You could buy advance tickets on the internet and go to the museum and see David. Or you could go have a private concert in the Academy Gallery while you're having dinner, being serenaded while looking at David.
Right.
Can't buy that one on the internet.
No, you can't. And I love that you brought that up, because I've been saying recently that leaning into luxury is just logical. And that's one of the reasons why it's logical, is because it's how you stop trying to compete with online booking engines or OTAs, or other travel advisors as well. You just, when you can offer an experience that your client can't get anywhere else, that is value.
Well, and
now
the
you're
other
bringing
thing
value.
is that I think a lot of times when we say we do luxury travel, I think to a certain segment of the world, that sounds scary, right? Because it sounds expensive.
Right.
And it can be expensive, but it also doesn't have to be. So my personal philosophy, which I know there are a lot of people in the world that disagree with me on this, and I've had this conversation over and over and over again, is that I think that everyone deserves a great trip, whatever their budget is. Which I will say with a caveat, like, if your budget is unrealistic, then that's a different story. But just because you have a lower budget doesn't mean you don't deserve a great trip. You deserve a great trip. Like, if you want to go to Italy for 3 weeks for $5,000, that's not happening. But if you want to spend 10 days in Italy and your budget is $10,000, we can do that. It's
At
it's
least
going to be a
without
yeah. Sometimes you could do it with air. Like it's
Okay.
going to be a different trip, right? You're not going to get a private guide for every place you go. You're not always going to have someone picking you up in a car and taking you to the Vatican. Like you might go to a meeting point to meet your guide, but you still might have a private guide for the Vatican.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to meet people where they are and get them the best version of what they want, which a lot of times they don't know what they want, which is why they've come to us.
Yeah.
We want this trip to wherever. And then they tell you what they want. Like we wanted to go to Italy, and then because everybody wants to go to Italy. So, and then you start asking questions. What do you want? What are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. And it turns out like they don't really want to go to Italy at all. Like a better fit for them would be to go to, I don't know,
Slovenia.
Spain or Slovenia. Yes. I mean, depending on what it is, like sometimes like you have a vision of what you want, but it's not actually what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to get our crystal balls out from time to time.
Well, and that's what being a travel designer is, and a travel planner is understanding your client. And really, I used to love some of my opening questions when I was getting to know a client. I would ask things that I felt like, how is that relevant to this trip? But it would really help me understand who they are and, what do you do on the weekend in your free time? What are you spending? What are you doing when in your free time? How are you spending your time? But also, so let's go back to this client attraction idea. My guess is you're not doing a lot of client attraction anymore.
Not entirely. I mean, I do a lot of networking.
And there's no bad answer to this question. In fact, if
no, but I think you probably think I do less than I actually do.
So what are you doing on the client attraction in the client attraction world right these days?
Mostly it's in-person networking.
Okay.
Networking groups and different things like that. I would love to say that I send out, a weekly newsletter, which I do, but it's not entirely weekly. It's more like biannually. If I can get 2 in a year.
You're lucky this is being recorded and this is on camera because I'm going to be nice.
But that's actually never been my priority. And I think I just feel like it's very burdensome. Yes, I should send out more emails to people than I do, but I don't. So,
but you go to networking events. Are they groups that you've been involved in for a long time? Are they new groups?
Yeah. No, I haven't been doing anything new. No.
Okay.
Really just a couple of key groups that I've been in for a long time. So I have long-standing relationships with a lot of the people that are in those groups. So it's worked out nicely, right? It's not the bulk of my business, but it is something that I do on a regular basis, and we do have a presence. And if I can't go, then someone on my team will go.
And you have your heart in it. It sounds like, it's something that interests you and you continue to do it because you're getting something good out of it, obviously.
For sure. But I don't do any paid advertising. Like I don't do Facebook ads or any of that kind of stuff. Mostly because I don't understand it and I don't feel like it works.
How did you start growing your client base?
Networking groups. By the same networking group.
It was.
Yeah, one of them I've been in since I started my business. Truly, this is a funny story. So I was talking about starting this business, and one day I met my husband for lunch, and we go out and we went to a salad bar place. They used to have these salad bar places, right?
Yeah, I remember those for the toss it in a bowl.
Right. But it was like a buffet, right? So we had little trays around the stuff. And I see on the other side, because it was 2 lanes. So I see on the other side of the salad bar, a friend of ours. And he was like, "Did you start your business yet?" And I was like, "No, like a couple of weeks, whatever." And he was like, "All right, well, you're coming to this networking group with me. So tell me when you start. And it's official." I was like, "All right." And I've been a member ever since.
Wow.
That's
kind
actually
of
where I
networking groups
first met Vanessa
Oh, wow.
100 years ago. Yes.
Wow.
So it's a category specific, right? There's one travel person, there's one, and
Okay.
I had a personal assistant business at the time, and Vanessa came in as a travel person.
Ah,
And then she left and I took the category.
interesting.
Um, but like there's one residential realtor, there's one, there's a bunch
Right.
of lawyers, but everyone has different specialties. So
Yeah.
you're not going to be in a group where you're competing for the same business with multiple people, which is
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
And you
Very,
can
very
find
cool.
those kind of groups all over the place, right? Like BNI
Absolutely.
and TIP
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
some chamber of commerce have
Chamber of
category
Commerce can
specific.
pay off
Mhm.
greatly. We had, Asa Portuguese on the
Mhm.
podcast not too long ago, and that has been a real key to her success and client attraction success is she joined a chamber of commerce that is a collection of like 3 or 4 cities in
Mhm.
Texas where she lives. So speaking of that, do you think that where you're based has any kind of an impact on your ability to attract clients? I know you're in Miami area.
I'm
You're
actually in Key
actually you're in
West.
Key West, right? Um,
So if anything, it has a negative impact on
mhm.
local. I mean, I do have local clients, but there is not a broad pool. So
There's not a broad pool. Do you pull from Miami or not
Mhm.
really?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
it's
I think that probably the most important piece when COVID happened in 2020, the first thing the first thing that I did was completely panic and cry and pour myself a very large glass of wine. The second thing I did was look at all the trips that we had planned, and we had a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
the number of millions of dollars of trips that got canceled was
Yeah.
heartbreaking. But I said to my assistant at the time, I was like, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go trip by trip. We're going to talk to every client and we're going to see what makes the most sense for them, right? If it makes more sense, some people wanted future travel credits because number one, we didn't know how long it was going to last. And so people were like, sure, I'll just go in 6 months or whatever. Some people wanted refunds. Some people wanted some sort of combination. Some people had insurable reasons to cancel. So we went through each client. We did 100%. I always tell my team, right?
Mhm.
100% was in the best interest of the client at all times. 100% of the time, period, no bending. That's it. So it doesn't matter what's in our best interest because it's not about us, right? It's about our clients. And during COVID, we did that and we, canceled a heartbreaking number of trips.
Yeah.
And we got every single one of our clients was made comfortable, right? Like I can't say they're
Right.
made whole because
Yeah.
some people got credits or whatever and then later might have regretted that, but we made the best
Right.
choices that we can make at that time. And so still I am getting referrals from people who are
From
like,
that.
"Oh, you did such a good thing for me during COVID. Like no one else would
Wow.
have done that."
Wow. That
So,
speaks volumes for the importance of taking a long-term approach with your
mhm,
clients and
mhm.
not, that's getting away from the transactional mentality, right? It's the
Right.
opposite of the transactional mentality. It's relationship mentality and putting the relationship first
Mhm.
over anything else. Um, would you say that what percent of your business these days is repeat or new? Like what's the mix of repeat versus new?
That's actually a very valid question. And I think how the spreadsheet. It is a glorious, glorious spreadsheet, and we track
Yes.
all sorts of things on
Yes.
this
SGG
spreadsheet.
loves and
I love my spreadsheet.
she shares it. She is amazing at our mastermind meetings. She is willing to, open the books and show people what it looks like. And it's pretty
Because it's
impressive.
important to track your data. So that is one thing that I have not tracked, and I would like to go back and start tracking for 2025.
Okay. So there
I
you
don't
go.
know
We
the
planted
answer.
a seed for you.
Yeah, no, I have a few things that I've needed to go back and track, but it's been a little busy so far this
So
year.
my guess, if I were to guess,
Mhm.
and you can tell me if you think it feels close, is it would be about 2/3 repeat, 1/3 new,
It's probably a little more repeat.
even more repeat. So that's
Yeah.
a really nice place to be
Mhm.
in a business. And
Yeah, I
one of
mean,
the
my
reasons
guess was
why
gonna be about 75%, so
okay, so
I think,
so call it
it's so
75
pretty close.
25. Love that. So clearly you're doing something right if you have that much repeat business and your business is as big as it is. Um, I'm not gonna,
I don't sleep a lot.
but what is it? Like why? Why are they coming back to you? What would you say? What are you doing right?
So here's a story for you. We have a client that, I really like, and I mean, I can't that doesn't really narrow it down because I really like all of my clients. Um,
That's a good
so,
thing. You
yeah,
gotta
I
love
mean,
your
look,
clients.
people are nice, right? We're sending them on vacation, they're happy. So we have these clients, I met them in Key West at an event, and they've been clients for probably, at this point, like 8 years or so. So they'd tried referring someone to me a couple of times, and she never called me, and then one time she called me and she booked a cruise. And she was like, "I usually do this on my own. I'm not entirely even sure why I need you." And I was like, "Look, you could do it on your own, or I could do it for you, right? The price is probably gonna be the same for the cruise, but here's what
Mhm.
you get with me." And she was like, "Okay, well, let's see how it goes." And I think this was not the first one. I think this is the second. Then I booked another cruise for her, and this was in 2021, middle of COVID. Everyone
Yeah.
has rules. You've got to wear
Yeah.
masks. Like, you have to have testing to go into certain countries. You have to
Yeah.
have testing to come back to the US within a certain time frame. So they were in, I can't remember. I want to say Dominica in the
Okay.
Caribbean.
Mhm.
Very small island, non-daily flights to the US in the best
Yeah.
of times. And her mother-in-law died.
Oh, wow.
And they had to get home to, we'll say, not a major airport in the US,
Okay.
right? So, like, we're talking about a secondary airport or possibly even a tertiary airport. And so I was on the phone with the clients, I was on the phone with the ship, and I was on the phone with the airline, and we were able to get them out that same day because they had to get out, but I had to
Mhm.
coordinate the testing with the ship. We had to just get them home, right? So it cost whatever
Yeah.
it costs to get them home.
Yeah.
Got them home. They went to the funeral. They did all their things. We helped them file their insurance claim. They got their money back for the out-of-pocket trip
Wow.
interruption and for the part of the trip that they missed and all of the things. And I'm not gonna say it was easy for them because it was a pretty crappy time for them, but it was as easy as it could possibly have been for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And she's referred a lot of people since then.
Yeah, because that's the difference. Like you can't predict
Mm-mm.
that.
Nope.
And I have found myself saying that booking your travel with a travel advisor is smart for one, but it's also a form of insurance, right?
Yeah. You want someone on
Because
your side.
you want someone on your side and if something goes wrong, they're going to help you navigate through that and often get more money back than you ever would have been able to do. So your secret sauce, you're saying, and the reason why people keep coming back is kind of going. It's like there's no specifics to it. It's really the heart of relationship building.
That's it.
It's always doing the right thing for the client.
I mean, it's not really a secret, just
Yeah.
simple, be a good person, you know? I had a conversation today with a client who, I met because during COVID, we did run some Facebook ads actually, um, in co-op with, a cruise line, and they ended up coming with us on one of our group trips, and so we know them, we've traveled them in
Yeah.
person, we've had a few challenges in their travels, including the one that I was on with them. But they have a beautiful cruise scheduled to Scandinavia this summer. And they called me today and they said, we're concerned. Should we cancel our trip? Because all we're seeing in the news is how nobody wants Americans, right? Denmark doesn't want Americans. And that's 2 stops on their trip. And I said, well, look, let's talk about all the things. Let's talk about the reality and what you're reading, because they're not the same thing. And
For sure.
let's also talk about, cruise lines are not in the business of putting their passengers in danger. So if there is an actual dangerous situation, your itinerary will change.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably have to change your air.
Cruises.
We'll probably have to change your air. It's not going to be easy, but that's my problem. That's not your problem, and and I said to her, I can't tell you how to feel, but I can tell you what the reality of the situation is. And they went into the call like ready to cancel their trip and lose 25% of their money and all of their air, which was a lot. And they came out of it saying, I think we're just going to see how it goes. We're going to talk about how we feel a little bit. Because, you don't know what you don't know. Like all you know is you live in this little bubble and you're reading the news and things look bad and maybe we shouldn't go 4 months from now.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
What's going to happen 4 months from now? I don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm in the process of writing a book. And one of the things I'm writing about right now is, ironically, how to embrace entrepreneurship. And it is, I think, entrepreneurship is one of the greatest opportunities to get, it's going to force you to get uncomfortable all the time. And when you get uncomfortable, what happens is the limiting beliefs that have been holding you back, that are stored in your subconscious, get exposed. And so that's what's so cool about entrepreneurship is it's an opportunity to actually see what those limiting beliefs are, pluck them and rewrite new ones. And the best way to do that is by exercising what I call the 7 habits of highly successful travel entrepreneurs. And that's it. What you just described is you've got to stretch yourself. You've got to, you said it earlier about the tracking your goals. You've got to set clear goals and track them. You've got to put skin in the game. You've got to, I'm trying to remember what else, surround yourself with a tribe, a supportive tribe. I can't remember the others. Anyway, but that's really what you are saying without saying it. So I love that.
And I can actually tell you the single moment in life where my limiting
beliefs
was an aha moment for me.
Came to the surface and you were like, oh my God, I see that.
January of 2009. And so my mother had always wanted to go skiing and my father had always said, no, thank you. And so for their 60th birthdays and their 40th wedding anniversary, which happened at the same year because they got married very young, Ari and I decided we would take them skiing. So we took them to Park City and we had them set up with an instructor. And then I had myself set up with a whole different instructor because I'm not a great skier and I prefer to go down a mountain with a professional. So, because professionals know what they're doing. Same in travel. Anyway, so we show up and their ski instructor doesn't show up for the day.
Uh-oh.
So they take mine, which is fine. So they take my ski instructor. I was like, great. I've skied with her for 3 years. She's great. This is amazing. You're going to have a great day. So we send them on their way. And when they come back from their 3-hour lesson, my mother was not thrilled. My father was having the time of his life. So who knew that? Who bet on that? Not me. And I asked the instructor, I said, how'd it go? And she goes, well, I see where you get it. And I was like, huh? I see where you get the I can't from. You know how you're always saying, I can't go down a black. I can't do a double blue. I can't do that. She's like, I see where you get it from. And I was like, oh. And that changed my life.
Yeah. Because we inherit most of them.
Mm-hmm.
From
I was
the
like, of
people
course
who
I
raised
can.
us.
She's like, of course you can do all these things. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Of course I can. The I can't is just in my head. So
it's in your head. Yeah. And it's a story that you've been telling yourself all your life. And, when you work in a cubicle for corporate, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're not exposed to that discomfort that you get exposed to as an entrepreneur on a daily basis. I mean, yes, you are exposed to it, but not nearly as often.
And you're not thrown in it like, I mean, look,
Yes.
in this business, if either I'm successful or I'm not paying my bills.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's sink or swim.
That's actually what it boils down to.
It does. It really does. And you are supporting yourself on your travel business. Some people get into the travel business and they're not, they're contributing to the household income, but they're not the sole provider. And I think when you are the sole provider, I said this recently to someone who's looking at our travel MBA program. I actually think it works for you when you're the sole provider for that reason, because you're going to be much more committed to your success. You're not going to just dabble.
Yep.
So talking about people who are new to the industry, let's say that there's someone listening who is at, $400,000 in sales. They know that's not where their final destination. They want to do 5-10 million at some point in their career. What advice would you give them?
Focus on the goals. Right? As opposed to, so I know like that's sort of counterintuitive to a lot of like business professionals that say like focus on the plan. And I say focus on the goal, because when you have a goal, you need to figure out how to get there. And it might not be what you originally, like you can create a business plan and you can write down how much you're going to spend for marketing and what your marketing plan is and how much you're going to spend for all these things and what your plan is and how much income you're going to bring in and how many sales you're going to make and all of that. But the truth is, like, if you write down on your business plan that you're going to sell 100 trips this year for $2 million and then you don't, well, then you don't, right? But if your goal is to continually increase, right? That's been my goal. My goal has been to continually increase. And yes, I've put a number on that because I'm obsessed with numbers. Not everybody is. So you have to figure out what your sweet spot is, like what motivates you. For me, it's the numbers. It's seeing on the spreadsheet, like that we're inching closer to the goal. And it's not a sales number all the time. It's a commission number.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you sell.
Absolutely. So
it matters
true.
How much you make.
It matters how much that yield, right? Yield versus the commission is very different sometimes. Sometimes it's similar, but sometimes it's different. And you need to, as you say, if you're data driven, you actually will know the difference between the two. And you'll be much more inclined to sell the partners that have a high yield, not just a high commission.
Right.
What you described is one of the habits that I forgot, which is seizing opportunities. And that's basically what I was writing about literally this morning, is when you set a very clear goal for yourself, the path to it is not going to be revealed all at once. Every single
step. It'd be
so
much easier if it was, though.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be so much easier? It doesn't. And what happens is the universe will reveal the next step most often in the form of an opportunity. And you've got to be willing to seize that opportunity. And so many times that opportunity is going to scare the living daylights out of you. Or maybe not be that intense, but it's still going to feel scary and uncomfortable to take advantage of that opportunity. But if you say no to it, guess what happens? The next step never gets revealed.
Well, and you don't move forward.
And
you either ends up
forward.
Staying in the same place or even moving backwards.
So I love that advice of stay focused on those goals. And I would layer in one more thing to that, which is stay focused on the goals and stay focused on the emotion that achieving the goal would bring you. And I think that's what you are.
You do talk about that a lot, right? Right? Like the silver platter, someone hands it to you.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? And
How does
I
it
think
feel?
sometimes, so I'm really bad at that actually, and I forget that it's
I don't
supposed to
think
feel
you're
good.
as bad at it as you think. because you said your sweet spot is the numbers and achieving those goals. And so I think you're way more in tune with it than you even realize.
Probably. But I feel like I'm not focused on how I feel about a particular thing. I'm just blinders on, let's go.
Yeah.
Which is not always so healthy, but here.
Well, there's balance there, but it's definitely served you for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, what is your superpower? And I think that's one of them. What would you say are your superpowers that you could attribute your success to?
It's a very good question. And I think really it is just like putting my blinders on and getting things done. Like I just get things done. I don't care. Like I can't mull over what to do about something 1,000 times. I'm a really good decision maker. So like if there's a choice, like, yes, I'll weigh the options. I'm not going to make, a rash decision, but I'm going to make a choice, right? Like just this morning, I went to a very dear friend of mine and I said, I need some things with my logo for a gift for a trip that I'm doing. And it's in a month and I haven't had time to deal with it. So when do I need to get a decision to you by? And here's what I'm looking at and give me some pricing. And so I got all that and he'll have a decision this afternoon because that's what we need to do.
Mean, I think the story that comes to mind is, when I sent you a message inviting you to be a guest on the podcast, I sent a message to a couple of other people too to line up some recordings. And guess who was the first person to respond and tell me exactly which time slot she wanted?
Well, I mean, you gave me a choice. Here are some options and days and times. I was like, great, this one works. I mean, you just have to look at your calendar.
So, case in point, you are very good at making a decision. And you know what? That is a blind spot for people, self included. I struggle sometimes with making decisions. Yeah. So I love that. All right. We are at the very end of our time. So I'm going to end with my favorite question of all is, tell me about one of your favorite pinch me, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this for a living moments.
Oh, who could even narrow that down?
Maybe your background might be one of them.
I could tell you that. But I will tell you, I could tell you actually just this month, a couple of weeks ago, we went to Paris in advance of the top producer trip. And we were there for one night. And so I reached out to a partner and I was like, I'm going to come and we're going to come this day and whatever. And so we showed up and our flight landed at 6 o'clock in the morning in Paris. And I was like, also, early check-in, maybe, please. I mean,
like I'm really early check-in?
Yeah, like I'll be at the hotel by 7:30. So not only was our room ready, which was amazing, but we walked in and because, sometimes we get a little jaded with what we do. We see a lot of nice things in our lives. I walked into our room and I looked out the window and I gasped. There was a full-on view of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh
from
my
my room.
God.
Full on.
Wow.
And I was like, and then later we met with the sales team and I was like, so how many of these rooms with this perfect view do you have? And he was like, well, we don't actually consider what you have to be a full Eiffel Tower view. I'm like,
oh, wow.
What? And he was like, I was like, why not? He's like, you can't see the feet. This is true. And this happened like 2 weeks ago. So I was like, really? Okay, I'm just going to stand here and look out the window. You can go about your day now. Thank you.
Wow.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. And that was leading into a whole week on a gorgeous river cruise, traveling because you were a top producer in 2024. So I just love these stories because it really is an incredible life. It's not a short journey to get to where you were. It is not a sprint.
And it is not a clean, neat, easy road.
No, it's not. but would you say it's worth it?
I'm still doing it. So. Yes. I mean, it is. It is. And like when COVID happened, one of my friends looked at me and she's like, what are you going to do now? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, no one's traveling. I was like, no one's traveling today.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, also, this is all I know how to do. And this is
Yeah.
all I'm really good at. So this is what I'm going to keep doing.
I love it. That's fantastic. Okay. And one last question, which I forgot to ask this of you. I mean, you did something really cool. Your business got to the point where you were able to bring your husband on, and now he is part of the business with you.
Yeah.
Is that rewarding to you?
Oh, it's great. It's great. So we had a lot of discussion about it, right? Because this is a big deal. This is now all of our household income.
And also he left a professional career to do this.
Right. And it was a good time and it was the right time. And, you know, as we're talking about next steps, I said to him, look, I'm happy to have you join the business because number one, I'm not going to find anyone smarter and more invested in this business. I'm just not, right? Literally, you're super invested. But you have to understand what I do every day. And he's like, I see what you do every day. I was like, nope. You have to understand, and you will start, you know, you don't start planning $100,000 safaris. You start by making transfer reservations and, you know, answering emails and making dinner reservations and doing every type of nitty gritty thing that we do. All of them. You have to do all of them. And so he was like, all right, which is, by the way, how he got his title, which is vice president, things no one else will do. Literally, it's on his business card. And so it's been almost 3 years and it's great. And, you know, as I will just bring this all full circle for you for the misogyny.
Thank you.
I was telling a financial planner about, you know, Ari's joining business, blah, blah. And so a couple weeks go by, I see him and he's like, how's your new partner? And I was like, what? He's like, how's your new partner? I was like, you mean Ari? Who joined my business like a month ago? And I said to him, now, hear me out. Your son, who is your partner, when he walked in the door, was he your partner the first day or did he have to learn how to do a few things first? And he was like, oh. I was like, right. There we are. Still my company. Still my business. But to answer your question, it's been great. And it's been a very, very, very good 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to a lot longer.
And he's still happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's working harder than he ever has in his life.
Wow. I bet that shocked him.
It was a little surprising.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, here you are. Well, congratulations on your success. It is really awesome. Stephanie had a joke for a few years running because she felt number 2 often on our top list. And her joke was always a bridesmaid, never a bride. And so when we gave her the news this year that she was number 1, we opened it with, you are no longer the bridesmaid.
Love it. I love it.
So congratulations. It's so fun to watch you just continue to grow, continue to soar, continue to succeed, and continue to share with the other people in the network, especially your top producer club members. So thank you for all of it. Thank you for today. And thank you for just being a part of the network.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting world of travel entrepreneurship. If you're looking for more, we have some great resources for both aspiring travel entrepreneurs and existing travel advisors. Aspiring travel entrepreneurs, If you're thinking about turning your love for travel into a profitable business and enviable life, take our Travel Entrepreneurial Suitability Score quiz. It's fun and insightful. Just go to travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Find out if you're ready to professionalize your passion for travel. Current travel advisors. If you've been selling travel but haven't been able to grow your sales beyond $200,000 in a 12-month window of time, our quiz can help there too. Again, you can find that at travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Advisors looking for a change. If you're seeking an elevated hosting experience for the luxury travel advisor, check us out at giftedtravelnetwork.com. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, we wrap up today's journey. We hope we inspired you today, or at a minimum, put a smile on your face.